Hey everyone, this is Josh Erdman, CEO of Systems and Marketing Solutions, and this is week number 7 for our marketing tip of the week. Happy Wednesday to you. Last week we talked about an SEO overview, search engine optimization. And if you missed it, just to get you back up to speed, SEO, search engine optimization, are things that you do to your website directly or indirectly, such as things you might do offsite to help Google, mostly Google, see your website as the most relevant on the internet for your topic and your location that you service. So if you're a plumber, you definitely want to talk about plumbing and leaking pipes, but you also want to have a lot of location-specific words on your website. And that's an example of SEO where Google sees that your industry and your location is specific to you on your website. When it comes to an SEO effort, a lot of these types of efforts can be divided up into on-site efforts and off-site efforts. And we don't categorize those specifically as we do one or the other, because the reality is that when you, for example, write a blog article on your website, you're going to want to talk about it on SEO. So every time you make new content, it's going to have both an on-site and off-site effort together. So you need to categorize these somehow. And instead of doing it on-site or off-site, what we're looking at, in the best way that we recommend that you categorize your SEO strategies, are SEO content strategies, such as writing things, whether that's posts in social media, articles on your website, or a keyword strategy where you're editing the content on your website. So the content side of things. And the other one is the technology side of things. And we're going to talk about tech. So just to give you fair warning, this is going to get technical, this is going to get deep, but if you hang on, this is going to be the master list of everything you need to know to manage the technical side of your website's SEO. So hang on, and I have a big list for you. The first one, the basic one, you bought a domain name. You went on GoDaddy.com or some website similar to that, and maybe you bought it for 3 years, maybe you bought it for 5 years, but that would kill your SEO if you forgot to renew your domain name bill and it just dropped off the internet. So by all means, do a check on your domain name's expiration. That's a username and password to GoDaddy or register.com that you don't want to lose. And if your credit card's expired and it was an auto renew, you could be in trouble. So don't get caught with your pants down. You don't want to lose your domain name. So make sure you watch that one. Another one is a blacklist check. If you send a lot of email out, ideally it's from your domain name. If you own company.com and you send out a bunch of email, bob@company.com. In my case, a lot of our emails come out from me, josh@smsrd.com. Those could be flagged as spam, especially if you had poor communication hygiene way back in the past. So you want to do a blacklist check. There are some popular email tools. One's called mxtoolbox.com, and you can put your domain name there and see if your domain name is listed on an email blacklist. Important thing to check, especially for your outgoing emails when you're following up with leads. The last thing you want with a hot lead is for them not to get your proposal because it was filtered to spam. Another recent one is a protocol specific thing, and that's HTTPS, being secure. If you use the Chrome web browser and you go to your website and it says in the top right next to your address, not secure, that means that you don't support HTTPS. You're not being a secure website. And I realize, especially for the majority of our clients, they don't take orders online. They don't take credit cards. So the practicality of being secure to protect this private data isn't necessary, but that's towing the line with Google. If you want to stay relevant, you need to have a secure website. So if you aren't secure, but your competitor who has the same kinds of words, same type of location is, Google will prefer a secure website over you. So that's definitely an important thing. Another big category when it comes to your technology and SEO is speed. Google is a search engine that directs 80% of the searches out there, and they have a reputation to uphold. So if they recommend your site and your site runs slow, people will just hit the back button, find someone else and click on it. And Google sees those kinds of things. Google knows when someone doesn't like the result, and they want to uphold the reputation. So website speed is a very strong part of that reputation. So you can do various speed tests. Pingdom.com has a speed test. Google has one called Page Speed Insights. I recommend you use multiple different speed tests to see what your website is. What you're looking for is a good experience. You want it to load fast. Google also has a mobile initiative. So everything they're doing is from the mobile phone perspective. So not only do they care about it loading fast on a cell phone, but they want to know how well does it look? Is it mobile friendly as well? So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is they want to make sure that it doesn't use up a lot of data. If it's going to suck up someone's data plan, that's not mobile friendly. Within that speed test, there's a lot of tools. So the majority of websites out there are on WordPress, and there's a lot of plugins to help make WordPress run faster. A quick one that we help clients out with is called W3 Cache. It's a plugin you can put in, and what it does is it helps the web server to cache or remember all the renderings, the formatting, so it's not rerunning and the code before it sends it. There's some better platforms, better ways to do certain things, but then it requires it to all be built into the host. So if you're hosted with GoDaddy, or if you're paying $6 a month, you're not going to get some of these platform specific enhancements. So you would have to be putting on extra plugins like W3 Cache. Image compression is another important one. When you run your website's speed tests, it will tell you both of them, both Google Page Speed Insights and also Pingdom, if you have large images that have way too much data for the size that they're displaying on the screen. So there's some image compression tools you can use. Your web guy who probably did all the Photoshop for your website, they'd be familiar with how to best format these images to make sure that they look good, but they don't take up a whole lot of data. That makes it mobile friendly again. It'll also make it load a lot faster. And some hosting plans measure how much data your website uses in it serving out your website to the internet. So the faster your website loads and the smaller the amount of data, the less you could be paying on your bill as well. An image compression tool that we use, WP Smush is one of them. There's a lot of different ones out there. They all kind of do the same thing. They'll look for large images that are inefficient with their data size and shrink them for you. So another very important one, it's a good segue to the next section with security, is the coding that your website rests on. So the main foundation of all WordPress code is PHP. And not only is the latest version of PHP known to run significantly faster, but it's more secure. When you imagine a programmer and they have all these different versions of code, it becomes a lot of work to update code for every different version. So think of Windows. Windows XP is no longer supported on a security level. And if you worked for Microsoft and you have to do a security fix in your programming for Windows XP, Windows 7, all the different versions of Windows 8 and Windows 10, there's a lot of overhead there, especially if it's not a state-of-the-art code base. So we have worked through an initiative with our clients to upgrade their PHP version. A lot of clients were on version 5.6 and 7.0. 7.2 is known to be significantly faster and it's secure. And that gets us over to the next important one, and that's making your website secure. So upgrading that platform of PHP is a very important step. But WordPress itself has various code bases. So you want to make sure that your version of WordPress is up to date. And one of the worst things you can do is think of this as an annual thing, that you can update your PHP and update your WordPress platform once a year, because what happens is all these different changes could cause problems on your website, small little coding glitches that can be easily fixed as if you incrementally keep things up to date. But if you wait all the way till a year, there could be some significant problems where your website has a catastrophic failure. So we recommend that you keep your WordPress platform up to date. Good hosting companies will do that for you. And what you can do is proactively work with them, test a development version, make sure it runs and looks and renders properly. And then what you can do from there is go live with the updated version of both PHP and the base code for WordPress. Built into WordPress is a bunch of little plugins, a bunch of little applications. Those too are ways where bad guys can hack into your website, try to throw in code. So you need to update your plugins. Sometimes a plugin will be deprecated and the company won't develop it anymore. But it's again, a very important thing to update these plugins. Every one of these is a security issue. And I'm focused so much on security right now because if you work so hard to make your site relevant and you get this SEO working really well, so now you're very relevant for what you do, and then your website gets affected, that will completely destroy your relevance with Google, and you'll be starting back at the bottom. So a lot of these technology things could improve and give you better ranking in Google, but another significant part of that is it's also protecting you to maintain what you've worked so hard to earn. So we've talked about plugins and updates. We've talked about upgrading your PHP, upgrading your WordPress. Two other security things to touch on: backups. We have so many clients that don't back up their website. They assume that the hosting company backs it up for them. The hosting companies, most of them will have a backup, but in a catastrophic failure, that's their fault, not yours. And you'll probably pay a premium for those backups. It's a whole lot easier for you to set up, maintain your own backups. So if you screw up, you can do a restore and you don't have to call support with hat in hand, probably an additional fee on top of that. So make sure you back up your website. Finally, there's firewall applications that you'll want. You obviously want your website viewable to the whole world. The more traffic, the better, especially if you're teaching people and you're getting leads everywhere, that's great. But if you run a WordPress website, that login page is also available to the whole world, and you want to lock that down. So there's, we use one called, WordFence. And WordFence is a popular tool, a lot of different firewall tools that you can use. But the whole point is we don't want anyone from China or India or outside of the United States to be able to log in and edit the website. Let's protect that and limit the what's called the attack surface. So firewall, backups, keep your plugins updated. Okay, diving in. So now we're done talking about website-specific things. The next one that you should probably keep in mind is the Search Console. You want to be relevant in Google. You want to appear up high in the Google search rankings. And Google's provided this free tool called the Search Console. It's sort of the log where Google will register any problems it has with reading your site. If there's a file that's corrupted, if your site looks good on your cell phone, but Google detects that an error for mobile rendering, all those types of things will be edited, will be logged there. It's an important place to check for some small, quick updates. So it's called the Search Console. It's also known as a webmaster tool in Google. 2 quick searches on that will get you protected with that. And you can go through the entire log and see if there's any adjustments you need to make. Another one is Google Asset Integration. That sounds complicated, but if you have a presence on YouTube, you have videos, and you also have a website that's indexed by Google, and then you have a business listing on Google My Business, all 3 of these can be integrated and linked together. And the reason why that's important is when someone searches you on a Google page, and Google sees that the results for your website and there's a relevant answer that's also a video, it'll show those together. And when you look at a search result page that Google has, it's just text, a lot of text and a link and a text and a link, but you can draw people's eyes when Google has a little video or some type of interactive snippet or ranking there. So you want to integrate all your assets. You do that in your Google My Business listing is where you can register your company's website, make sure things are good with Search Console, and then link your Google My Business listing to your YouTube account. So we call it Google Asset Integration. So we keep track of all those different things. Another important one that's more of an off-site technology thing are your directory listings. And that makes a good segue to your social media presence. Basically, if you have a Facebook page, that's a directory listing. A Facebook page talks about your company, lists your address, lists your phone number, and has a link directly to your website. And what we will see commonly in a directory listing are old phone numbers or a different phone number, but it works, an old address, or specifically with a web address. Your website might be company.com, but in Facebook, you have the old one, www.company.com. The better you can do with consistency of those 3 listings, your address, your phone number, and your web address across all your directory listings is key. So let's talk about some other directory listings. Your YouTube page, the company page inside LinkedIn, those are all areas for directory. The Better Business Bureau, local chambers of commerce. Take a look at all of those areas where your business is represented and make sure you have those consistent. The more consistency you have, the stronger your message of your presence and you're trying to maintain a healthy presence on the internet is with Google. So very relevant things there. Programming error checks is another one. When you go to your website, if you're using Chrome, you can press the F12 button. And when you press F12, what that will do is show you from your web browser's perspective any programming code that didn't run properly. JavaScript you might have entered, if you're doing things like call tracking, or if you're running Google Analytics. Anytime you have a tracking link or a Facebook tracking pixel, a lot of that's in the form of JavaScript. And you might have some other JavaScript specifically on your website for some type of interactivity. If you have programming problems, you want to know about it before the end user has a bad experience or before Google notices. So browse your website, look at the front page, look at some other key pages, and on each page hit F12, and then you can read the log inside your web browser's diagnostic mode to see if you have any problems there. What got me really motivated to talk about the SEO technology and all the management of technology has to do specifically with some of the things we were working on with a client today. If you have a form on your website for people to fill out, you probably have ran into the area of getting spammed. You'll have various people try to sell you by typing in your information form about problems or updates that you want to do to your website. So to filter out against these bots and against these spammers, there's a tool that Google's released called a reCAPTCHA. It's pretty much a new version of CAPTCHAs, which is where you're asked a human question, such as click all the road signs, or it might ask a question such as what's 5 plus 10, and then you type that answer in. It's something that robots can't solve on their own right now. And what's recently happened is one of the forms that our client was using no longer is compatible with the old reCAPTCHA tool that Google offers. So we had to do an upgrade for them. So with some of your spam filtering tools, Akismet, reCAPTCHA, you want to check those out and make sure you don't have any errors left behind. It actually did leave a little text blurb on the website that the reCAPTCHA wasn't working, and then the form would just be open to anybody, and they were getting a bunch of spam. That was their email message to us was, why are we getting spam messages from our website? We got 5 today and 10 yesterday, and it was all due to this update of technology. So you want to keep those up to date. And then finally, I saved the obvious ones for last. Some of the basic SEO things that we see as technical. Broken link. You can do a broken link scan across your website. Any broken link that you have shows Google that this is a page that you haven't checked and looked at for a long time. Broken links are bad, so check your site for broken links, get all those fixed. There's a lot of social media tools. One's called Yoast. Yoast has these SEO plugins to make sure that you have descriptions and good meta tags, and it will modify and customize them specific for every platform. So if someone sees your site and they want to share it on Facebook, or they want to share a post on Instagram, the Yoast tool will make sure that the descriptions and the things that Facebook is going to scrape, it'll get a better optimized version of that. So a handy tool there is the WordPress SEO Yoast tool. And the reason why we have that listed as a technology issue is because that is a plugin that's frequently updated. You don't want an older one. And if you wait a long time to run those updates, you need to go through all the steps of all the little settings because they add new features. There's new social media tools out there that you want to integrate with, so you want to make sure that your logo appears correctly on all of them when someone shares. Another quick tip, indexing. On your site, you can tell Google what pages not to index. So there might be certain pages that don't make any sense. Having Google see your privacy policy actually is an important one, especially if you're participating in pay-per-click advertising. But some of the other pages, your terms of service, what your warranties are, if you have a special client portal page, those pages might not have good content that enhances your SEO. So you can actually request Google not to index those. So that's another check that we go through for our clients over time, because sites evolve over time. We want to make sure that their SEO is dialed in perfectly. The other two obvious ones, meta tags. You have multiple types of meta tags, and it's a good time once a year to go and look at your site and see how you're using those tags. The title tag of your website is an important one. We still get new clients where their title tag it says home at the top, and you're telling Google literally that the most important word on your website is home when it should be the industry or the service that you provide. So check your title tag, check your headlines, your H1 tags, alt tags. Every image should have a description. Ideally, the description of the image is matching some type of important keyword for your site. So that's the big exhaustive list. We actually grow this list all over time. It constantly gets new ideas of things that we do. And this is all part of what we call our SEO 360 technology management plan. It's managing the technology SEO from all angles, on-site and off-site, the code itself, and some of the technical, the plugins, and your directory listings as well, and also some of the things specifically inside Google. It takes a lot of work. So what we do is we have a full list, and some of these items we do quarterly, monthly. Other items we do this once a year. So write the list down, figure that one out on how to do each one of those. We'll try to do some more details on what some of these mean and how to do those. What I'll do is I'll keep an eye on the questions inside our Facebook page. And next week, though, what I'm looking to do is talk more specifically about SEO and content, the other side of what we call a complete SEO strategy. Love any questions or comments you have. Thank you for your time and have a great day.